Yep, it's all yours, Penna.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Penta, and today I would like to talk to you about English visual novel Kickstarters. There is a lot to cover and not much time, so I'm going to hop right in. Perry Helian wrote the script that we used to gather our data. We searched for the key terms visual and novel. Projects with their locations set to Japan, as well as false positives, were excluded. The JVN group was typically localization campaigns, while the false positives were often graphic novels. Here's one example. We also had some experimental music albums, multimedia experiences. It was interesting stuff in that group. We were left with 407 projects, and we excluded projects that made an obscene amount of money compared to everyone else. That's very good for them, but it kind of skews the results if you include them. We all know about Spider's Yorg, I'm sure. We were left with 398 projects, so when we look at how that breaks out by year, after 2014, things really took off. But prior to that, there weren't all that many projects on the service. So when you see data for those years, just kind of keep that in mind because it's a lot less stable than later years. You can kind of see that when we look at the percentage of successful campaigns, where 2013 and 2014 both have almost 70% success rates, which is very good, but it comes from a lot fewer projects, so that shifts a lot easier. The true overall value hovers around 50%, and right now we're in the high 40s. So when you think about that success rate and you compare it to pretty much all the other relevant categories, EVNs are doing great. In fact, it's twice as successful in terms of actual project success as video games. But when you talk about this in terms of the money we're earning, Nai's comment about the tiny fish is very accurate. I believe the total amount earned for 2017 was about 500,000, whereas, with video games, it's in the scale of millions. So we're not earning much, but hey, we're earning. Now, what are we earning? When you look at the distribution of funding, overall it's still quite skewed even after you remove outliers. So you can measure averages in two ways with statistics, the mean or the median. I'm going to go with the median because of how skewed it is. It's a more conservative estimate, but it's also more stable. So by that number, the average amount of funding that a project receives, regardless of its outcome, is about $3,000, and all in USD. 67% receive under 6,000, and only 19% receive more than 10,000. That 10,000 cutoff point, just kind of keep that in the back of your mind for a bit. And the point is that you're not likely to earn too far past the average values. I'm sure that's shocking to hear. When we look at how funding has changed over time, again, 2013, 2014, prior to that, not too many projects, so that fluctuates a lot more. But even when you take that into account, there does seem to be a downward trend. However, when you compare that to how goals are changing over time, that has an upward trend that's fairly steady. So, That being said, one reason that most projects earn under 10,000 is because there aren't that many projects asking for more than 10,000. When you look at the average goal, even at its highest in around 2016, it's still under 9,000. This is especially true of successful projects whose average goal, like 92% of them stay under 10,000. So that's the reason I specify that cutoff point, because it's so steep for successful project goals. Their average goal of 4,000 is a bit higher than the overall average amount of funding, but they're still quite modest in comparison to a lot of other campaigns. So very, very brief. Remember that success depends on a lot more than what you have on your page. Again, I'll point to Nai's talk, which had a lot of good insights on this. The page data is what we have access to. So these can give you an idea of what's happening, but it's hard to say why from them. The general data in particular isn't that helpful for planning your specific project, just due to how much variability there is between projects. That being said, it is helpful for general discussion, and if you have no idea where to start, it can help give you some expectations. So for funding, the average is around 3,000, again, regardless of project outcome, and not many more projects earn more than 10,000, but not many projects are asking for over 10,000 to begin with, and this is very, very true of successful projects. There is that downward trend in funding paired with an upward trend in goals, so maybe not the best thing, but overall the success rate isn't bad. So when it comes to your project, how much should you ask for? Always ask for your minimum budget. That's not a data thing, that's just a common sense thing. If you ask for more, you're going to give yourself a harder campaign, and stretch goals may give you a bonus. If you ask for less, you're going to give yourself a harder project, and you might not be able to finish. So again, very quick, very fast. You can find more here at this Medium post, and I'm on Twitter, but that is mostly shit posts, I'll be honest. I asked someone else to post a link in the chat because Discord's being kind of funky. But in the meantime, are there any questions?
Let's see, what do we have here?
Can I just quickly ask, what was Spider's York?
Oh, thank you. So there's Spider's Yorg. He lives in a cave. Average spider consumption is 10 per person, but Spider's Yorg eats 10,000 per day. Outlier and should not be counted. If you include him, then our average spider consumption is about 3,000 spiders per day. Yes, I do have data on how many projects aim low and then overfund. I do recommend checking out that post because I kind of go into it. There are some projects that have like a 500% success rate and that are like over their funding, but they asked for like $1,000. So that's a pretty common scenario. Definitely ping me because there's a lot in the chat right now. I think I saw someone mention slides, and yes, I do have those. So is crowdfunding on Kickstarter more difficult than crowdfunding on Patreon? I have no experience with Patreon, so I can't answer that. Thoughts on making goals higher and self-fund to stimulate interest? Don't. Some guy, don't. That's my professional opinion.
Yeah, you're throwing away 10% of the money you put into it if you do that on top of all sorts of other issues.
I'm sorry, some guy, you're going to get dunked on for a bit.
Anyway.
Let's see. Oh, yes, Renpi Tom, I am analyzing delivery success, but that's part of the individual analysis where I'm going to talk about reward tiers and some more detailed things. So, upcoming. I don't know how much time I have left.
You got about 1 minute. So I'm going to pass presentation over to Kuiper so he can prepare.
Cool. Oh, yes. Thank you. Well, thank you for saying thank you.
Yeah. So much. Yeah, the crowdfunding data is always you can dive into it for a long time.